This is the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla.
You all have the courage to stand up and speak out. You have a vision for the future, one that values conservative principles and common sense solutions.
Today, a look back at a historic summit. Palin supporters from across the nation come together for the very first GrizzlyFest. We were honored to participate in the online event. And SarahNet Radio continues to get more and more exposure. This past week, we had the chance to join Janine Turner on her great new conservative talk show, We'll Look Back. First, we revisit GrizzlyFest. The heavyweights in the Palin movement came out for this one, sharing ideas and, most importantly, looking forward. Guests we've had right here on the Palin Update were among the panelists, including Steve Bannon, the filmmaker who gave us The Undefeated, conservative writer and speaker Jedediah Bila, and Jackie Siciliano of Team Sarah. Talk show host Tammy Bruce also appeared, and I was lucky enough to have a chance to speak a little bit about our efforts here at SarahNet Radio. I talked with Nicole Coulter, who has really done yeoman's work putting GrizzlyFest together. Coulter is the editor at Conservatives for Palin. Let's have a listen right now to my talk with Nicole at GrizzlyFest.
Kevin Scholla is host of the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio, and he's joining us from just outside Philly. Welcome, Kevin. Are you getting some snow, too?
Oh, unbelievable. This is the trick for Halloween without the treat, right?
Absolutely. Now, you've been hosting this weekly show, the Palin Update, and you've interviewed many people in the Palin Coalition, and we know that hosting a show takes a lot of work. But tell us about your show, how long you've been doing it, and what you're trying to accomplish with it.
Well, Nicole, I was writing for SarahNet.net since the summer of 2010, and, then I had the idea to launch this radio component. It's what I do in my everyday life. I do sports radio as my main job, quote-unquote, and the folks at SarahNet jumped right on it, full steam ahead. We started the show up in September, called the Palin Update, and every week we have a new guest, talk about Governor Palin, as well as conservative issues, plus we have some fun along the way, and we also report on the latest Palin news. And as you mentioned, we've been lucky to have some great guests so far. Some of the GrizzlyFest participants have already been on, including Steve Bannon, Jedediah Bila, and Jackie Siciliano. Plus, we've, heard from our friend Janine Turner, Sonny Johnson, just to name a few. So it's really been a star-studded affair thus far, and we couldn't be more pleased.
Yeah, and so can you tell everybody what you're going to be talking about next, and how can people listen to your show?
Well, you can log on to SarahNet.net and then just click on SarahNet Radio, and all of our shows are there. The latest one comes out each and every weekend, and then you can go ahead and listen to the archived shows as well. And we're also on Twitter at SarahNet Radio and at Kevin Scholla, and on Facebook at SarahNet Radio. And, like I said, so far so good. Truth be told, we started this out thinking Governor Palin would run for the White House in 2012,
right.
And, I thought it would be a great source for not only Palinistas, but really anyone to get legitimate coverage of the governor as she campaigned. Well, once she announced she wouldn't run, I thought, okay, well, you know what, she might not be a candidate anymore, but it's not like she's going anywhere, and the values and, love for America that Governor Palin represents are what we're really here for anyway. So in that spirit, we're keeping things going, and, she's going to be a player here one way or another, and as we've heard again and again, you don't need to have a title to make a difference, and I bet she'll still be making a major impact.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing that with us, and we hope everyone will check that out.
Let me tell you this. I think you guys will love this, all right? I'm one of the ones who actually knew about Governor Palin before she burst onto the scene nationally, and I did want McCain to pick her for a running mate. So my daughter and Trig Palin actually had their due dates pretty close to one another. So when the governor announced her pregnancy, I exchanged a couple of emails with her before anyone knew who she was, outside of Alaska, congratulating her, telling her about, her child on the way, and also mentioned to her that she'd be a great pick for vice president. Well, guess what? You remember those emails that were part of the big witch hunt into governor's emails that we all had to endure a few months back?
Yeah.
So my emails are in those emails if you go ahead and search for them. And I said, isn't that really contrast between Sarah Palin's portrayal by some compared to her real record in a microcosm. They're looking for scandal, and meantime they found an email from just someone on the East Coast, really just celebrating life with her and looking forward to two wonderful children. And I bring this up because that's the short answer to why I support this woman so much and go out of my way to promote her. It's my daughter. It's someone to look up to, and who better than Sarah Palin?
Well, thank you, Kevin, and you're part of the historical record now with the email in the record. But yeah,
unbelievable,
I think all of us are drawn to, and it's amazing that she's undergone such scrutiny when so many of these other leaders really deserve some scrutiny themselves. But anyway, we got to bring on our next panel. But we thank you so much for joining us.
Again, it was truly a fun day and an important one, showing the nation that support for Governor Palin is only getting stronger. If you'd like to hear more of GrizzlyFest and check out what the group is up to next, just go to GrizzlyFest.com. Really a great site. Now, this past week, I had a super Monday. Not only did I get to witness my Bears whip the Eagles in person on Monday Night Football, but earlier in the day, I appeared on the Janine Turner program. You may remember Janine from her role on the hit TV series Northern Exposure. She's also been in many films, including Cliffhanger and Leave It to Beaver. Well, now, Janine, a true constitutionalist, is running a radio show, the Janine Turner Show, out of Texas, and I had the pleasure of being her guest this past week.
Welcome back to the Janine Turner Show on the Janine Turner Network. We're so excited to have Kevin Scholla with us today. Let me tell you a little bit about Kevin. He's the host of the Palin Update on Sarah Net Radio. Kevin's been the voice of the New Jersey Broadcasting for more than a decade, and you've worked with Don Imus and Chris Mad Dog Russo at Sports Radio Station in New York, and you've been a news director for several New Jersey Clear Channel-owned stations, a reporter for the Millennium News Network, 13 stations, and you've also been the basketball voice for, okay, here we go again, Villanova?
You got it.
Okay, University. So you are fantastic. 'Cause I take it you're in New Jersey then.
I am in Pennsylvania right now, yeah. I originally grew up about 20 minutes from Manhattan, but yeah, I'm in the Philadelphia suburbs now.
Nice. I think we talked about that because I was a guest on your show. And
yes,
you're close.
We just missed you all at the Constitution Center.
I know. Well, welcome to the show, Kevin. It's great to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me, Janine. My pleasure.
Okay, so before we get to Sarah, because I know, and we want to talk about Sarah Palin, of course, but how's Newt looking to you?
Newt he has hit it out of the park, I think, from day one. And I think the best thing that Newt has done is he hasn't, fallen to the pressure or the hype from the media when he was polling low in single digits and people telling him he had no chance and, the problems that he had with his staff and whatnot. He's kind of just stuck to his message. He hasn't gotten involved in any of this gutter politics stuff, and he's relied on his smarts and his experience, and now all of a sudden he's the dark horse and kind of the Cinderella darling for some.
Did you see that debate between Herman and Kane and Newt? I guess it was in Texas. I think it was at the Woodlands in Texas. Did you get a chance to see it? I didn't.
I did get a chance to check it out.
You
it was
did?
Pretty neat. I just liked that the two of them did it. The first thing, everybody keeps saying who won. I think Herman Cain is the one who answered it correctly. He said the American people won because both of these guys, they know who has to go, and they both have ideas that a lot of people could be very receptive to.
What do you think about Herman Cain? So you think of Herman Cain, you see a Newt Cain ticket would be cool?
Well,
or Gingrich Cain, that's what we'd say.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the eventual winner of this primary, taps into one of the opponents as a running mate. But heck, you never know, right? I mean, people get surprised with your running mate every once in a while, certainly no more so than in 2008. So you never know where the running mate could come from.
Well, it would be different, though, because, see, they're both from the South. And usually if one's from the South, they go grab someone from Ohio or the East Coast or, wherever they need a state that they're going to need to win. So they're both from Georgia.
Yeah, they have. I mean, that's historically the case. Of course, Clinton and Gore bucked that trend when they went, Arkansas, Tennessee, and were still able to win. But, a lot of times, or they'll try to go more conservative or more liberal or less conservative or less.
Oh, gosh. I just disconnected him. I was standing up because I wanted to fold my legs into the chair, and I just disconnected him. Oh, gosh. Let's just call him back together, shall we? Oh, that's really sad. Okay, hang on. I'm calling him back. I was just kicking off my shoes like I did on O'Reilly the other day. I had to kick off those snake boots that were filled.
Was it something I said?
I'm sorry. You're live, by the way. You're just live on the radio. I just called you back. I took off my tennis shoes as I was talking to you, and I was going to cross my legs, and my hand hit the phone, so I'm really sorry.
Likely story, Janine.
Yeah, no. Okay, so you're saying Gore did it with Clinton, but so it can be done. In other words, Tennessee, Arkansas. That's right, they did.
Yeah, so I mean, you never know. I mean, I think right now we got to figure out who the heck the nominee's going to be, and then we could have a lot of fun with the vice presidential sweepstakes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, now what do you think about Giuliani? Because I was just asking, and Kathy was telling me, Kathy Gillespie, one of the producers of the show, she said it's not legally or technically too late to enter the race. And Giuliani,
no, it is not.
Giuliani gave a kind of a cool speech over the weekend, and he believes what I believe. I believe that Obama started the Occupy Wall Street movement, and I call the the Occupy Wall Street movement really Occupy America, because they want to change its Republican form. And I think that if we don't believe that that's what they really want to do, then we're all being very, very, very naive, and they've got a lot of backers. But Obama's the one who started all that with the class warfare. He owns this, as Eric was saying, our caller earlier, and I completely agree. And Giuliani was up there saying the same thing. He was saying this is Obama's occupation.
Well, and Barack Obama, back in the community organizer days, held similar events. They weren't on a large scale that this is on, but held similar events in Chicago regarding the wars in Iraq and different situations going on then. So, Rudy's hit a lot of things on the head, certainly even more so since he's been out of office, being able to swing from the fences. But as far as getting into the race, I don't think I see that happening at this juncture.
A little late. But do you know what he said over the weekend? He said, instead of occupying Wall Street, why don't they occupy a job?
Absolutely. Or go back to occupying mom's basement.
Well, look, at least, because, it is hard to find jobs right now, but at the very least, I have this new thing going, Kevin, I don't know if you know about it, called the magnanimous majority. And this is my call to action, because I think that we're all going to have to make wise fiscal choices. In the past, our founding fathers, and all throughout time, there have been men and women who have given their life and limb to protect our freedom. And now we're being called they sacrificed, and we're being called to sacrifice, but in a different way. Our call to action is to sacrifice fiscally. And so I've kind of started this movement called the magnanimous majority, where we all join in and say, okay, we're going to be willing to do what it takes to not whine down in an Occupy movement, but to say, okay, now wait a minute, I'm willing to do what I need to do to save the country. And so I think that we need to quit whining and get back to action and do something constructive. That's what I like about the Tea Party. The Tea Party was constructive with what they tried to do. They had a mission, and they worked within the democratic system.
You know what really irked me lately with the Occupy folks in all of these cities? They're actually looking for donations monetarily, and also with the winter weather coming on the East Coast, looking for coats and socks and things of that nature. Could you imagine giving a winter coat to the Occupy protesters over, say, a homeless child, or to another charity that would be more worthwhile? That boggles the mind.
Well, especially since it's getting so kind of disgusting down there. It's crack deals and children being picked up by protective services, but what bothers me the most, I think, about it, Kevin, is the fact that they're stomping all over the First Amendment right, because the First Amendment gives us the right to peaceably assemble. Not go out there and close down ports and set off explosives and put our policemen in jeopardy. Our founding fathers would be appalled, I think.
Yeah, and, we're fitting the bill for the policemen, too. All of this security and this unnecessary manpower that has to be down there to watch these characters, guess who's paying for it? The taxpayers in each and every city where these protests are taking place.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think it's going to be do you think it's going to go kind of filter down, or do you think it's going to escalate?
Well, I have to go eventually you would think. I mean, again, they have nothing to do, so they may linger a little longer. I doubt many of them have personal, interpersonal relationships, and they certainly, as they've told us, don't have jobs because they just will not work certain jobs that I guess are beneath them, or like they like to say. So they'll be there a while, but I think once the media attention dies down, the movement will probably die down as well. And of course, the election too, because this is something that, if Mayor Giuliani, and if you're right on this, this is something that they're hoping will help the current administration next year in the election.
Yeah, well, time will tell, I guess. One minute I think, okay, I think it's pretty disgusting. If you want to go down and protest, that's our right to do it, and I'm all for that. But the way they're going about it is the tenor is completely wrong, and the way they're behaving, I think, is. Remember Shays' Rebellion and how upset George Washington was about that? It was actually the Shays' Rebellion that led to the Constitution being formed, and I think that they would be very unhappy watching this type of thing because it's getting so ugly and disgusting and violent. Okay, well, let's talk about Sarah Palin. Your favorite topic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what's going on with Sarah? It was this time last year I was in Alaska. My daughter and I were remembering on Halloween this time this year we were in Alaska, and I met her up on stage, and we did a rally for Joe Miller. And so what's going on? It's kind of quiet with Sarah Palin these days.
Yeah, well, everybody, since she announced she's not going to throw her glasses into the ring here for the 2012 bid, they're wondering, what she's going to do to help out. Is she going to endorse one of these candidates? Is she going to, stay out of it? How will she help? And, it's funny, she's already making moves here in 2011 for the 2011 election cycle. She just endorsed a candidate for Attorney General in Kentucky, Todd People, who is running, and she also threw her support behind one of the issues being voted on in Ohio. So the governor, she's, like you said, with Miller and some of these other folks, she has a pretty good track record of either putting folks over the top or making them serious contenders. So that's what she's working on right now. She also spoke in Florida this past week to the Republican group down there, and really had a great turnout and a big, they raised more money on that day than the Democrats have in quite a while. So she's making her moves slow and steady and effectively. Well,
we need her to do that, and it's interesting because they're in the talking points this morning. They were talking about Nancy Pelosi and how she gets out there and jogs. She's 70-some years old, and she jogs every morning and makes phone calls, and she's raised more money in I don't know what the quote was, but she's just raised a ton of money in 1 month for the Democratic Party. And she's one of those people I can disagree with about it every single term, but boy, she is a little powerhouse going out there for the Democrats, raising money and doing what she needs to do. And that's what Sarah Palin can do, right? She's a powerhouse for us.
She can do that, and she can also just attract a lot of people to see her, to give funds, like you said. And if she does throw her weight behind a candidate, that could be huge. You've seen some of these other endorsements from Christie and Jindal and Palin, and really they're ho-hum. Nobody cares. You quiz most people, they wouldn't even know who they're supporting. And also they did it so early with so many candidates still left in the race. I think Governor Palin will wait a little while here and then let you know when the endorsement really means something.
Wouldn't it have been fun to see her on the debate stage? I think she really would have added a lot of zing to the debate stage. I missed that a little bit.
Janine, you hit it on the head. I watch these debates, because I'm a political junkie like yourself, and I like it. And there are candidates that I do like. But you sit there and you say, especially when you see Romney and Perry going at it like an old married couple, and you say, if Governor Palin was here, she would put an end to that real quick and get back to what really matters, which is repealing Obamacare, restoring our Constitution, and getting a pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, pro-America person back into the White House.
Why do you think she didn't run?
I can't speak for her. I just know that I support her. She mentioned her family, and you'd have to think that maybe that's her top reason. And if that's her reason, that's good enough for me. And honestly, no matter what her reason is, it's good enough for me because that's up to her. I wish she'd run, but you know what? You also got to remember this. She's a young woman. It's 2012. We got a long time to go. She could run in 2020, 2016 if need be. Hopefully not. Hopefully we'll have a new president by then and working on a second term. But, and who knows what she'll do. When you were on my program, we talked about that rumor about, maybe she'll run for another office in another state. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Remember what she's been saying, Janine, all the time. You don't need a title to make a difference. And that goes not only for her, but for you, for me, for anyone listening today. It really isn't about title. It's about what you do.
That's so true. And, I guess it's already almost 11 o'clock. We have to wrap with that thought. And I really like that thought because a lot of times, first of all, I just love how in the Constitution they said no titles and nobility and whatnot. I just didn't, that there would be no religious test to have an office. There's so many wonderful things in the United States Constitution, but I love the fact that you don't have to be titled. You don't have to be a big, grand person reaching millions and millions of people, or even 10,000 people at a time. One person at a time, you can make a difference in this country just with yourself. Just with your vote and your voice and the difference one person can make is pretty inspiring, and that's the beauty of our country, wouldn't you say?
It is. It's inspiring and it's contagious, especially when young kids see what you're doing, or young voters, or even people who are older and have just really never been involved in the process. So they say, hey, you know what, so-and-so has done this with the PTA, so-and-so has done this with the local government, or with, this nonprofit or this organization, or just getting up every morning and going to work and doing what you should be doing. So I think it rubs off, and I think that most of our country, still is, in line with that thought.
I do too. The magnanimous majority. Are you going to join my magnanimous majority, Kevin?
Of course.
Yeah, we were willing to make fiscal, because Senator Kay Bailey Hutchins introduced this bill, and she's trying to get the super committee to rally behind it, but it would slowly change Social Security, so the age would be moved from 69 to 65, I believe. No, from 65 to 69. That's it. To 69. Yeah, and right around the time when it would affect me, right? It would be just kind of like right around the time, I'd be I'm going to be chasing my retirement from Social Security like a donkey with a carrot. Like, am I ever going to get to it? and so I had to sit back and think. Well, I'm willing to do it. And it's not like I'm rolling in it that people probably think I am, and I may just really need it at 69, but I'm willing to do it, and I think that's what it's going to take. We have a calling for a sacrifice of a whole new way, level now, and it's money. It's a fiscal sacrifice. We all have to feel the pinch in the pocketbook and be willing to do it. I bet you are.
And it's going to be a hot button issue during this campaign too. I mean, we've already seen some of the trouble Perry's gotten in with his Ponzi scheme comments, and then some of the other stances taken by Representative Bachman and some of the others. So obviously this is about the economy, this election, but there are other issues. There always are other issues. So much of the economy.
The problem with the economy, though, is the debt, and the debt is because of the mandatory spending, the entitlements, and it's like if we could ease up on if we could do away with Obamacare, that could be resolved in June. That's going to be resolved in June. Obamacare's got to go, but the 70% of the pie has to be dealt with, and then taxes need to be restructured, and then I think the economy would lift. But the people know, we the genius of the people, right? We know that this is a huge burden over us, and everyone's afraid. But we have to. That's the irony. We have to take a bite of all these entitlements before we can start to feel better about the country, because I think we click over to $15 trillion in debt this week, and we feel it like a haze, like a big deep cloud all over us, and mandatory spending is a part of that. But you know what we have to do, I guess, Kevin? We got to be as vocal as the mainstream media, and as vocal, and I guess you and I are trying here, right? But as vocal as we can be, even like you say, even one person talking to one person, to say, I support these cuts. And even if they affect me, I support them, because we have to do it to get the economy back in shape and to save our republic, and to be willing to do it. Then I think the economy would get better.
You got it, Janine, and you look at these representatives and these elected officials that we have who are so more worried about being reelected and reading poll numbers than doing what, is common sense or what adds up in a book. People have to go ahead and balance their checkbooks at home every month in their house and being able to make ends meet and pay for their children and pay for, car payments and rent and mortgages. And meantime, our officials in Washington live by another standard. It doesn't make any sense.
No, that's why their approval rating is like 17%. I mean, people are so upset. And if the super committee cannot come up with a deal, okay, can you imagine how all of us are going to feel? And then they go to that sequester, which means they're going to cut $600 billion from our security at a time when Israel's getting ready to bomb Iran. I mean, none of this makes any sense.
Yeah, well, the super committee, you got to put that in quotes, right? Handpicked by the administration.
Yeah, I just don't know what's going to happen with that. Well, this is fun. Okay, how can people check out your show and all the things that you do?
Okay.
Tell us.
Sure. Well, SarahNet Radio, we have the Palin update each and every week, every weekend, and all of our shows are archived, so you can check them all out. We've had some great guests so far. Of course, Ms. Janine Turner was on, and we've also had a lot of people really involved with Sarah Palin. Steve Bannon, who made the wonderful film The Undefeated, chronicling the career of Sarah Palin, others who have spoken very highly of the governor, and then we have some wild card guests as well. Jennifer Flowers stopped by the other week. So,
wow.
We really run the gamut of who you could tune in and listen to. This week we have a great author by the name of Brian J. Gale. He's a pro-life advocate and a very interesting guy if you want to check him out. But you can check out each and every show. Just go to sarahnet.net and click on SarahNet Radio. You can also follow us on Twitter, at SarahNet Radio. And we are just on Facebook now. We just started on Facebook, so you can like us, 2 words on Facebook, SarahNet and then Radio. So definitely check us out, and we enjoy the feedback and look forward to having more exciting programs for you.
Yeah, well, that's right. So it's live on the weekends, right? What day is it live?
Yeah, well, we record it, and it goes up. It goes up on the weekends, and we have a new one every week.
Oh, I see.
So
okay, okay, very good.
Yeah, if you go to SarahNet.net, click on SarahNet Radio. They're all up there now. I think we're on, program 7.
Does Sarah ever come on? Does she know you're doing it?
We have not had the governor on yet, but we would love to have her on, obviously. I believe she is aware of the program, and we've been in contact with some of her folks, and, that would certainly be the top guest.
Yeah, that'd be pretty big.
Right now, right now we're just having people who, initially we thought perhaps she was going to run for the White House, and we were going to give people an opportunity to have a place to go to for fair coverage on the governor. But when she didn't run, we said, hey, you know what? She's not going anywhere. Her values and her love for this country are still there. Let's do a show that showcases some of those issues, and people that are not necessarily strong supporters, but those who want to talk about her in one way or another, and about the issues really that matter here as we head toward 2012.
Yeah, the issues being one of the important things. I still think it'd be cool to see Senator Sarah Palin. I think that'd be really fun, and then we'll have her in on, give it about, as you say, she's so young, in about 12 years, whenever she could be our president. I love the idea of seeing Senator Sarah Palin. I just think that'd be really cool. I mean, I like the idea of President Palin too. But
I'd be very surprised if she doesn't jump into some sort of race at some point. But then again, you know what? That's another reason why I really appreciate this woman. She's a wild card. She goes rogue, as they say. And she may run sometimes, she may not. But you know what? She'll keep you guessing, and it'll just make the left pull their hair out each and every second because they are terrified for her next move.
Yes, they are. And she's got that little girl too. That I know what it's like to be a working single. Well, she's not a single mom, but to be a working mother, and you have to take your family into account. You really do when you make big decisions like this. But okay, well, everyone should check out your show and come back and be on our show, okay?
Definitely, Janine.
It was
really
fun.
You're doing a great job, and I've heard wonderful positive feedback about what you've been doing so far as I've spread the word about what you've been up to, and people really appreciate it. Those who didn't know you were doing it that found out this week through my appearance, and I got some emails saying, hey, she's got a heck of a thing going on there. So we appreciate what you're doing, and thanks again so much.
Oh, well, thank you. We'll just continue to lift each other up here and get the word out to win that election in 2012. That's what we have to do. We have to get a Republican in that office. fast.
Got it.
And get the House and the Senate, too, mind you, to get some things done up there. All right, Kevin, take care. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Janine,
Okay.
have a great day.
You too. Bye.
If you want to hear more of the Janine Turner Show and check out all of Janine's worthwhile projects, simply go to JanineTurner.com. Sarah Palin is calling for the dismissal of Eric Holder. The governor says the attorney general should be fired over the debacle we've come to know as Operation Fast and Furious, an extremely flawed weapons trafficking investigation. Palin blasted Holder in a post on Facebook seeking his immediate resignation. Palin says if Holder goes, quote, then President Obama, with whom the bucks ultimately stop, can prove that he respects honesty, transparency, and accountability in his administration by firing Holder, unquote. The governor, as usual, not mincing words. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Palin Update on SaraNet Radio. Be sure to visit saranet.net for continuing coverage of Governor Palin, our radio show, plus plenty of articles from yours truly and our SaraNet contributors. Also, follow us on Twitter at SaraNet Radio, and SaraNet Radio is now on Facebook. Be sure to like us, SaraNet Radio on Facebook. I want to thank everyone here at SaraNet Radio. Thanks to the folks at GrizzlyFest, especially Nicole Coulter, and everyone at the Janine Turner Show, including Janine, Kathy Gillespie, also Pat and Amanda. And thank you, folks, for listening today. Please be sure to join us next time for another edition of the Palin Update. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.